Late start. Got someone on the line? Maybe they're just listening.
This is Christine from Legal Aid.
Okay, great.
Hey, sorry, I stepped away. I ran to the printer for a second. I apologize.
No. It's totally... Okay, we can get started. Bit of a smaller meeting, but still some key organizations are here. So everyone should have an agenda and a copy of the most recent SOAR action plan template. And Christine will just kind of talk you through it, and I'll send out the recording of this to everyone after the meeting with the documents. So let's just go around the room just so everyone knows who's in the room. So do you want to start?
Leslie Thompson, Social Security.
Skylar Amari, Mental Health Peer Connection.
Jennifer Marzowski, Neighborhood Health Center.
Peggy Rye, Division of Disability Determinations.
And I'm Andrew Deering. I'm from the Homeless Alliance of Western New York. I'm the SOAR local lead. And online we have Christine, right? Yeah, from Legal Aid, yeah. Okay, so it's actually good that we have smaller meetings. We can actually discuss things in more detail, especially with these action items. We can be more casual about what we think is missing, who needs to be at the table, things like that. So first, we can do a SOAR planning recap. So last week, 2 months ago, when we had our last SOAR planning meeting, we talked briefly about working with neighborhood legal services. I know we have the Legal Aid on the line too. So SOAR and legal practices kind of go hand in hand, or they work well with one another, especially if you're going through the appeal process. I know it seems like Leslie has already had some interaction with neighborhood legal services and referrals there. So yeah, it's great. SOAR is starting to get out into the community as a resource. I know personally I'm getting tons of people calling me, asking me who should I reach out to, who's SOAR certified. Right now I've just been having all referrals kind of go through me, and I just try to contact the right people. Does anyone think there's like a better process for that, or something that would be more effective? Because I have everyone who's SOAR trained I'm aware of, and I just tell people, okay, these are people who are SOAR trained in this organization. Reach out to them directly for advice, or maybe direct referral to that person. So does anyone have any other kind of suggestions or no?
That makes sense.
So yeah, since I am the SOAR local lead, I do know everyone who's so I guess we can just keep doing it that way. So in the future, if people need a referral, I guess refer to me. Okay, and the third item on the agenda is the SOAR Getting Started webinar. So right now I'm putting together a webinar that would introduce someone who's interested in getting trained online. I'm going to do just like a webinar to get things started, get signed up, show you what the site looks like. It'll be through like a GoToMeeting type situation, so you can either call in or you can have your screen open, and I can actually share my screen so you can actually see the actual site and what it looks like. We're not going to do the whole training because it's pretty long. It's a long training, online training, so I was thinking maybe just sign up and the first course, or at least just like an introduction to SOAR. What do you guys think? Do you think it should be just kind of an intro to SOAR, or do you think I should actually start like taking people through the process? I mean, doing the whole thing would kind of be unreasonable.
I would do like just an introduction and then have a second one if people want more training or more about it, offer it to them.
Okay.
That's
Yeah.
what I would personally do. Break it up into 2 sessions.
Okay. 2 sessions. Okay. Yeah, because I'm trying to think of ways around just the barriers of getting people started. I know we've had a couple people trained in the community, and there is a high turnover rates, especially in this kind of field. So people leave a lot, and we lose SOAR trained case managers. So any way we can kind of make it easier. Is there something you wanted to say? Okay.
Just listening.
Yeah. Okay, so any opinions on that, or any comments? You think that's a good idea? I know we talked about that in the future, and I really want to start to get things going.
I do agree with just like the introductory and then an additional one.
Yeah.
Just because like of the time that it would take like for people to watch it, it might get more views if like it's shorter in an introduction.
Okay. Yeah, and I could even like record it, like I record these sessions and put it on YouTube or something and share it, so it's more accessible even after the fact. And I know SOAR and SAMHSA, they have these things similar to this, but I was just thinking how to get access to the local network and kind of make it more personable. Okay. So, okay, so the next item on the agenda, I know we're just kind of blasting through this. So the SOAR Learning Community RFP update. So we did say at the last planning meeting that we're currently pursuing. We were currently pursuing partners to help us acquire funding for a SOAR position. We mainly had the idea that there was a SAMHSA grant that came out, and we were going to try and tackle that. And we spent pretty much like a month trying to work out these details, trying to find the right partner. But unfortunately, we ran out of time because the right partner was not in place. We needed like a federally mental health qualified service provider. And the agencies that were interested in partnering were not that. So, and we did have Lakeshore. They were interested in partnering, but it was kind of too late. And if you've ever tried to tackle any of these SAMHSA grants, it's a large undertaking. But we are still moving forward. We identified Restoration Society, and we talked to Independent Living of the Genesee region of possibly partnering, but we're still pursuing local foundation grants, even some national grants, and Dale and I from the Homeless Alliance, we're still attending these SOAR learning communities. So we're getting help from the SOAR TA Center to help us make these proposals. This is going to be kind of a longer process just because foundations and corporate funding, there's different schedules. But in terms of local funding, does anyone have any connections with possible funders or any kind of avenues that you think this would be a good match for? We're also thinking about maybe approaching hospitals because there is a large cost savings element to SOAR, especially for those high users of the hospital system. So we're possibly reaching out to ECMC, but this is kind of an ongoing process. I just want to keep everyone informed. But the idea is that we want a position or a couple positions in the community dedicated to doing SOAR applications. Yeah, any comment or thoughts on that? Okay. Okay, so along with the agenda, I also included the SOAR action plan template, and this is something I think we can have a really great conversation about, just because this pretty much frames what we're trying to do in the area. And I don't know if, Peggy, if you've had a chance to see this yet?
No.
Okay, great. So, yeah, I would love to have your feedback. So there are different goals associated with getting a SOAR action plan ready in the area. The first goal, completing applications and training. So build and sustain community capacity to implement SOAR. The action steps would include identify and train key service providers in Erie County, submitting SSI, SSDI. So I had Lakeshore, Spectrum, Horizon House, and CAS. We might have to reevaluate that just because there has been some like staff turnover in those areas or those agencies.
I'm getting a lot out of Hope, Erie Hope.
Is it Matt Urban Hope House?
Them too. But this one is over at Hope of Erie County, it's called.
Okay.
Hope of Erie County, get a lot of them, and Matt Urban, yeah.
Erie County. Okay. Yeah, mostly whenever anybody asks me for help with SSI or can you locate someone who's trained, I normally say Matt Urban or independent living, pretty much. So yeah, seeing other agencies that have high submissions would be.
There's a couple.
Mm-hmm.
Let's see. Oh yeah, Lakeshore, yeah.
Lakeshore? Okay.
Lakeshore and Haven, yeah.
Okay, great. Yeah, and yeah, that's. I'm starting to refer more people to Lakeshore just because they receive PATH funding, so they have outreach workers out in the community, and it's really a great complement to the SOAR process. So
she's finding people. Give her.
Yeah.
She's very good at her job.
Great. Yeah, I trained her. Just a little like side note. I trained Stacy from Lakeshore, and she was just telling me about some of the crazy stories she's been hearing and how people have. They just have like just money waiting for them that they just haven't had any access to, and it's just amazing. She is finding a lot of people, though. Yeah, but like having access to SSI, SSD, I mean, can significantly kind of change these people's lives or give them some sort of stability, you know. So okay, so next on the action steps, identify and train case managers. Staff from local service providers to be SOAR trained with follow-up. So that's been kind of an ongoing process for me. Whenever I get updates about who's SOAR trained, I tell them about a fundamentals training, and then we organize it, either if it's like a one-on-one or we have a bigger group. So that's been kind of ongoing. So a develop referral program for SOAR. So we talked about that like just now. So basically people should contact me and I can refer out. So and that can be, I mean, I'm willing to have that change, especially if people think it's not fair that way, or if people are getting more referrals than others. I mean, that's a potential for someone having a problem. So we can revisit that, but for now, we'll just have referrals go through the SOAR local lead. Or one-on-one. I mean, it doesn't have to go through me, but if someone wants like a specific SOAR referral, I'm a resource. Okay, so goal 2, collaborations. So developing and strengthening partnerships with SSA, DDS, medical providers, and community organizations to increase efficiency in processing SOAR applications. And also, if you think there should be another bullet or another point you want to make, don't hesitate to say. I mean, if you see another way we can work together with Social Security or Office of Temporary Disability, I mean, that would be great, or anything you see here that isn't there. So promote dialogue between SSA and disability and SOAR trained providers. That's what we're doing right now. And people have been contacting you, right? So I think we have established some sort of dialogue, which is great. Establish SSA office contacts throughout Western New York. We did that. So develop a medical provider list to be used for SOAR trained staff. So I do have a, there is a list. It's on our website. I don't know if you've been able to see it, but the Western New York, the wnyhomeless.org, there is a subsection under our COC tab that's called SOAR, and I have a list of a lot of the record offices in the different hospitals and medical offices in the area, so you can refer to that. So reach out to educate key medical providers about using the SOAR process. This is still a little iffy. I don't know how well versed hospitals are in SOAR. I have reached out a little bit just to try to educate them. I mean, in the future, maybe we could even have some social workers in the hospitals trained. I could see that being something we can look to in the future.
Do you know if hospitals are like referring cases up? We've had a case that came through and the client didn't know how his claim got filed, but it was an agency outside of the area. But he says it was filed when he was in the hospital. So I'm like, oh. You know, we got the claim, we processed the claim, they had the right papers in it, but the guy didn't seem to, you know, when he came back, he didn't, you know, he couldn't really draw the dots between this agency, I think it was in Massachusetts possibly, and his claim, other than the fact that he had been in the hospital and talked to somebody, and he was like.
So if you had some kind of like direct contact with like the local hospitals, would that help at all, or I don't know.
I mean, this was just a client that walked in, and you know, I guess he had gotten his denial letter, and he was like, I don't even know when I filed a claim, and then so they went through, and it had been filed with an agency while he was in the hospital. So yeah. Anyway, that was an interesting one. So I'm like, there's somebody out there taking claims.
Maybe he went to like a rehab, like for physical therapy or something. Then maybe they did it if he was like in the nursing home or something for therapy. That's the only thing I could think of. Maybe being discharged from the hospital there and not realizing it, depending on his condition, sign the papers.
Yeah.
Right.
Because they throw everything at you, just sign.
Yeah. Okay, so.
And I know that Buffalo General and ECMC trying to get the records, it's difficult. We even have trouble getting them sometimes.
Really?
Yeah.
Like,
they've been giving us trouble.
What kind of like barriers?
Just whoever's working, they'll be like, oh, we'll get it to you, and we'll wait 2 weeks for it, and it never shows.
Oh.
Yeah. So we've been having a lot of trouble with that.
Which hospitals specifically?
ECMC and Buffalo General.
Okay.
And then they're like, well, do you have a consent for us? Do you have a consent? They're like, do you have a consent to give you the records? We're like, we're his primary care doctor. And they're like, well, we still need the consent form. So maybe that's something. If someone comes, like, have them sign a consent to release the records.
Yeah, well, I know, yeah, a lot of the hospitals have like their own form, especially if you want to get any kind of medical records. Is that what they mean by a consent form?
But maybe like a universal one.
Oh.
Like if they come to us, we could have them sign for wherever.
Oh. Okay. Yeah, that's interesting.
They could go from Buff General, and then 2 weeks later end up in ECMC and you only have the one for Buffalo General, you'll never get the ones for ECMC if anything. So just have like some generic,
Well, maybe,
universal one.
what's the form? Isn't that,
The 827,
827,
that's
yeah.
what we use.
yeah,
I mean, we give it, you know,
so
social
maybe,
to a DDS.
maybe just more
27.
education about what the 827 is and how it can act as a, I mean, does it, it acts as a, it's consent.
It's a consent.
It's a medical
yeah.
consent
It's
form.
a medical consent form, yeah.
Okay. So, yeah, I'll try reaching out to ECMC and Buff General, see if we can have a more unified kind of,
They accept our the 827, so. But-
okay.
All we do is have them sign
Yeah,
it
we
and send it to DDS.
Yeah.
You look at that end of the table.
Yeah, I mean, it's HIPAA compliance.
Yes.
We still have trouble with that sometimes because it depends on how zealous the medical records people are. You know, some people get real,
It shouldn't be like that.
well, it shouldn't be, but it is. And that's because everybody's, worried about covering themselves and not doing what they're not supposed to. And people interpret it differently.
Okay.
So that's about education, and that's something that we try and work on. I don't know if you could just use that. I don't know. Can anybody just use that 827? I don't know. I'd have to find out, but I'm not really sure.
That's what they,
I mean, it's online. It's
yeah,
available.
that's what they, I mean, in the SOAR process, that's what they tell
Yeah.
you to do.
Right, it's online.
don't
I mean,
know.
I have a-
Read, but
I have a link to all of the different, like, individual written forms to request medical records,
Yeah.
but I mean,
827 is the big one.
yeah.
And
Yeah, if we could
Buffalo
utilize
General
that.
accepts it, ECMC. ECMC is just difficult.
Yeah.
I probably understaffed and, too busy, I don't know.
Yeah.
Okay.
Plus, we have an arrangement with, an electronic imaging company, and they actually go and pull records for us at Buffalo General.
Wow.
They don't do it at ECMC. They used to, but ECMC said no. So they went to like Healthport or somebody like that.
So-
Everything, and they get so big. It's like, who's got the records? Sometimes it's in the clinic, sometimes, just different places.
So what stands out to me, like, from that story is that I feel like the consumer should always know, like, if something is being submitted on their behalf.
Well, they would have had to explain something.
I mean, they're
Yeah.
telling us, they're telling us where to go to get the stuff. Without their
Right.
signature, it's not going anywhere.
But, I mean, like, clearly they weren't very involved in the process for them to not remember. What are we doing to involve consumers in this process?
Well, for us, if the client doesn't sign the stuff, there's no claim. You can't file a claim for somebody else.
Right, but I mean, like, are we getting feedback? Are we, like, notifying them beyond the signature? How are we involving them?
Like how clients experience like the whole application process.
Mhm.
That's yeah, I mean that is a good point. I mean, I don't know if I can speak for the hospitals necessarily because they have their own process. But yeah, that is interesting. I don't know, like what do you think we could do to be more transparent, I guess, or be more interactive with like those who we're working for?
I think we need to be at least getting feedback from each person. I mean, if we are doing it for them, we can't really, like, do all of this without their feedback.
Right. Okay, yeah, maybe we can have like a client focus group or something, just so, because we're in this room, right, and we're talking about how to improve it. But if we have clients telling us their experience, and maybe we can see if they can tell us something we haven't seen. So that's a great suggestion. So maybe like a client focus group. But at the same time, yeah, it would have to be voluntary, and I mean, we don't want to, all of these applications are confidential, right? So So maybe we can just have like an open, we've done a lot of focus groups like this before, so maybe we can have like an open, like if you've applied for SSI, if you have you gotten approved, have you gotten denied, we want to hear your story. So yeah, I'll talk to Kex and maybe we can set something up just to get some feedback from people. Do you think you would be able to get some clients to something like that too?
I'm not sure. I can talk to my benefits advisor about it.
Okay. Yeah, let's talk about that because I like that idea. I mean, I'm sure a lot of the answers or reactions might be just make it easier or just give us the money. But yeah, but I would be really interested to hear what people say for sure. Like, do they even know what SOAR is?
Right.
I mean, some of these people might not even be eligible since it is kind of a like the spectrum of people applying for SSI and SST. It might not fit the exact population we're going for, but still might be worth it. Okay, so going down the list, and any other kind of reactions or thoughts about having like a client-based focus group?
Well, I think on the opposite end of that, when they first come in, you need to make sure they have realistic expectations. You know, just because they apply does not mean that they really truly are eligible. There are unfortunately, everybody is not eligible. Just because you think you are does not mean. So they have to have some realistic expectations there.
Yeah.
You know.
Definitely, and I mean, doing SOAR trainings, we always tell people, was it under promise and over serve? So that definitely relies on the whole reasonable expectations kind of thing. Yeah, I don't think it's fair to a client to say, we're going to get you SSI, or you're the perfect candidate, you're definitely going to get this.
Yeah.
I mean, you're not helping anybody by saying that.
Yeah, there's a rep who actually puts on the applications, meets listing 101, whatever.
That's for you.
And we look at it and think, okay, I guess, well, you know, but that's really not for him to decide. So.
Okay. All right. Yeah.
Well, now we know what to look for.
Make your job easier.
This really matches.
Yeah. Okay. Any other comments or thoughts about having that kind of client focus group? No? Okay. That was a great idea. Okay, so down the road for goal 2 collaborations, let's see. So others, we're in the other category. So collaborate with benefit payees in Erie County. Haven't really done that yet, the whole payee process. So that's something, or at least identifying agencies that can act as payees for clients. I think having some kind of database or so people know what agencies they can reach out to if they have to organize something.
Well, what we had recently with Stacy and it's a couple of guys who had dropped off the grid. We didn't know where they were. And they finally showed up after years. You know, she found them on the street. But they needed a payee. They had a payee. The payee turned back in the money. And we tried to find the guy. We didn't know where he was. So that's a problem. I've seen more than one of them now. So, I mean, so pays are important, and then whenever someone encounters this person, to let us know so that we can try to hook them up with the pay so that we can get them the money that we owe them.
Okay.
You know, like one guy, we thought he was still in jail, but he wasn't in jail. So he had gotten out, and that's supposed to be taken care of with the pre-release process. They're not, you know, if the person's potentially eligible, they're not supposed to get out of jail without having contact with us, but that's kind of broken down, obviously. But, you know, go ahead and take this paperwork with you, and like you said last week, when they get it, hey, I'm out, you know, throw it up in the air, you know, whatever, and it's not as easy as, you know, where were you? Well, sometimes they can tell you, sometimes they can't.
Mm-hmm. So is that for the pre-release process? Because I'm really interested in that because we've kind of approached reentry and parole about SOAR, and they're telling us that like a lot of their people that they work with, they just have to like reactivate their SSI, so it wouldn't necessarily fall within like an initial application.
Hey, Andrew, this is Christine.
Yeah.
Hey, re-entry's catching my ear here. That's what I focus on here. I'm a civil attorney who focuses on re-entry issues.
Uh-huh.
So many of my guys, I use the term guys because they're mostly men, they're getting screwed. They're not getting the services they need coming out of prison, and they're starting this whole SSI process all over again, and they're all getting denied, even after they've been on SSI before they were incarcerated.
Oh, wow.
So just a heads up. That's what I'm seeing, and that's my population.
Okay, so I'm guessing, so is the situation, guys, your guys have been in for a year?
Yes.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, they would have to reapply. For those candidates, I would say SOAR would be a great process to do another initial application.
Okay, good. Good. That's what I'm looking at.
If they're meeting the standards of homeless, at risk, ability. So, I mean, if they were getting SSI before,
Yeah, how come they're not being released though? Before it's, I think it's days prior to the release, file the claim.
They do all that.
oh, okay.
Yeah, they're
I do tell you that don't always come with
Okay.
posted with medical records. A lot of times, and not, they don't.
So my question is, pre-release, who organizes that? Is that control? Is that?
it depends.
Well, I have been in, I had a high concentration. That's where I started. They had a lot of down there, Attica. And at that point, we would go,
Depends how you're coming out, because they max out, you're out on release, you're being released, but you're not on, like, any papers, more or less, on a parole or probation. So they have those stipulations, and then you have the parole part, or if they're coming out on probation. It all depends on who's handling it and what we're in jail for.
Right.
yeah, are they really being released too? A lot of people are coming out and they're not being released.
Yeah.
They're still under the control of the corrections department. So
Yeah.
it depends on
Or they're coming
that
out,
status too.
or they could have sat there 90 days and then come out on bail, but still have a court case going,
Mm-hmm.
or a year and come out on bail. You could sit there forever on bail.
Yeah.
So
So
if they're not convicted, they can get their Social Security benefits.
Yeah.
okay. So Christine, so the guys you work with, have they recently been released from prison, or is it something just in the past? Is she?
Is my speakerphone on?
Got it. All right, there you go.
When it's on, you guys break up, so I tend to turn it off. I apologize. The two gentlemen I'm thinking of right now have been released within the year.
Oh.
And they're not getting, you guys, and this is, and I'm sure you guys have all run into this. There's all these reentry programs, and everyone's working so hard for these guys, but there is a breakdown in communication. And one of my guys was sent to a private attorney to help with the SSI denial, which now he's all sorts of jammed up with that. So yeah, these are recent releasees.
Okay.
They were in jail for less than
Over a year. Over a year, but they've been out for less than a year.
Okay.
Correct. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean that's. I would guess that those clients would be helped by the pre-release. Right?
What jails?
Yeah, you guys are, sorry, when my speakerphone's on, you guys break up, so I apologize. I heard what jail. I don't know that off the top of my head. The people I'm thinking of are all federal releases.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
You can get the name of the jail, see what the pre-release arrangement is for, because they're done locally by the servicing office. So whoever that prison is handled by would normally take care of that pre-release arrangement.
Now,
You know.
what I'm wondering is sometimes with the federal inmates, I had heard that they get shipped to like Ohio and stuff like that, even if they committed their crime here, they go to
That's correct. Yeah.
Now, is there some location on their pre-release? They're the same as.
I do not know.
Because
I
you're
mean,
crossing.
how it's done would potentially be different,
Yeah.
but the fact that it's done would be under the POMS guidelines. Each
Okay.
state has their own
Yeah, that's what I was
way
asking.
of doing what they do.
Yeah.
But yeah, so if
So
we can find out where they're being released from, maybe we can reach out to the offices there to see what,
their protocol is.
Yeah.
Okay.
Because each state has their own rules.
Yeah, and I'm going to a the Erie County Reentry Task Force meeting tomorrow, so maybe I can ask around.
I'll see you there.
Okay. Yeah, and normally they have people from parole, so hopefully we'll get some answers.
Hey, Andrew, this is Christine. Are you going to parole orientation tomorrow at 9 a.m. at 77 Goodell?
Yeah, I was planning on it.
Okay, good. Yeah, I'll be there too. I'd love to meet you, and that's a great place. That's a super, as you guys know, very vulnerable population being released, yesterday or early last week. So yeah, anyone else who can join us, that'd be awesome.
Is there usually a rep from social security there?
It depends. So the round table, sometimes a lot of community services are there, sometimes not so much. It depends. I have seen reps from the county there, but it's not consistent from what I've seen. But I have a limited experience.
I've never heard anything about it.
Yeah, so I can come tomorrow.
Yeah, you can come.
This is my fourth one tomorrow.
I
I never
can-
seen someone from social.
It's at 9 o'clock.
9 to 10.
And I can forward you the email. Really, no problem.
Would you forward it to me too?
Yeah.
Sure, no problem.
Yeah.
And after it's so there is the new parolee orientation, and then I know later that day there's the reentry task force meeting. So they work kind of side by side. And I know the reentry task force, they have all their other programs that they do to kind of reintegrate people into society. But yeah, definitely.
I think Glenn is the one you reach out to for that. I have a card back at my desk.
Yeah, you're right. So yeah, that's something we can explore more. Having SOAR be a tool for the reentry population, I think would be great. It's just figuring out where exactly it fits. And I think maybe it would be somewhere within that pre-release.
Well, so far I've worked with the girl finding the people under the bridge. And,
Yeah.
Unfortunately.
Is there a certain person that could just be like, how can I word it? Just go and meet the people, like go visit them before they get out, and or somehow communicate with them through the jail to start the application, or at least get the paper signed to start it for them, if they're local, if they're out of state.
There are programs like that in the country, specifically with SOAR. I think we might just have to, it might be about having someone whose job it is to do that specifically.
We don't have anyone in Erie County?
I'm sure that there has to be some agencies like visiting people in prisons, but that's something we should look into.
We can start with the prisoner legal services. They might be doing that, and also we reach out to our public defenders also to try to get a hold of folks.
Okay.
even before they go in.
Okay. Yeah, because I mean, I can tell you that I have pursued strengthening these ties before. I've hit some brick walls here and there, whether it be trying to make access to medical records easier or just like having SOAR cases be identified. But there's definitely more connections we can make in that regards. So. Yeah. Any other ideas or agencies you think we should connect with in terms of reentry? I mean, if we all go to the parole orientation tomorrow, we'll probably get some great feedback.
I'm happy. I have a phone conference with 2 representatives of the city of Buffalo today because I know they're focusing on some reentry work.
Okay.
I'm happy to throw. Okay. I'm happy to. You know, I'm certainly not versed in, I just was SOAR trained, but I'm happy to throw the word around and see if I can't build allies there in the city.
Sure, yeah. That'd be a great help.
Okay, great. And Andrew, I'll use you as the point person, I assume?
Fantastic, yeah.
Does that work?
Feel free to
okay, perfect.
contact.
Perfect.
Okay. All right, so any other thoughts about that? Okay. Okay, so write down the line, contact with Medicaid. I don't think we have that, so that has to improve. Create further collaboration with legal services for technical assistance. We have established some legal partnerships in the community. We're getting legal aid trained on SOAR, so that's great.
All right, we're excited to be part of the team, Andrew.
Great, good. All right, so yeah, we're just making progress with that. So goal number 3, tracking outcomes and sustainability. Maximize resources to sustain SOAR dedicated benefit specialists. So promote quality applications and review through dialogue with SOAR TA Center, SOAR trained staff. I don't think we have too many. I mean, has anyone had experience with that, reaching out to the SOAR TA Center? I mean, I'm the local lead, so I hope everything's good with that. But if not, let me know. There's always room to improve. And then the next step would be promoting application tracking and decisions through OAT. We have made probably 0 progress on tracking through OAT. Which, I mean, actually identifying the outcomes for these applications will be important in the future, especially if we're trying to get some sort of funding in the area. I have started drafting some proposals to get funding, and we have to use a lot of like national statistics. So if there's any way you guys think we can start tracking these applications, I don't know, do you have an idea of like who gets approved, who's using the SOAR process, or at least?
Well, not on a regular, when I get a consent, I do log it in by name, and I close it out with a protective filing letter with a closeout attached to that. So I do have the name and number of the ones that came through me, but that's not a lot. I mean, it's yeah. But it's I don't know how representative that is, because there are people that, every office would have SOAR cases. I don't get them all. I don't want them all. You know what I'm saying? But so it goes by zip. So I get the ones that are tracked through the Buffalo office.
Right. So in theory, though, like you would be seeing the SOAR cases in your zip code that are SOAR cases?
If the individual sent in a consent form, a lot of your people don't send in the consent form. So if they send in the consent form, then I see it. If they don't send in the consent form, I don't see it.
Okay. Okay. So, and the consent form she was referring to is it's the SOAR consent to release form. It's pretty much just seeing where your client is in the SSI application process. If they have any kind of claims pending, it also establishes a projected filing date, which is great. So yeah, that is an important form. So yeah, I mean, tracking these, we're going to have to think of a way to track these more effectively. So any ideas with that?
And the people that you know, if you can ask them.
Yeah.
Who do you have?
Yeah, I mean,
then you got that whole issue of they can't give you the number or whatever.
right.
So.
I mean, I could, yeah, I mean, I could do like every quarter, I could reach out to everyone who's SOAR trained and say within this like 3-month period, how many applications did you send in, how many were approved, how many were denied. I mean, there's no identifying information there. It would just be approval, denial, and a number. So that might be something. Do you think that's a good idea, at least like for a start? Okay. Okay, so we'll try that. So like a quarterly assessment. Okay, and let's move on to goal 4. So build a strong leadership team and steering committee to guide SOAR operations and structure. So that's what we're doing right now. So bi-monthly committee meetings, that's what we're doing. And identify additional applicants to be trained as a local lead in Erie County. I mean, if anyone else has interest in being more involved with SOAR, you're more than welcome to become a local lead yourself. What that involves is getting trained in the SOAR process. Thanks.
You're welcome.
Getting trained in the SOAR process and also attending one of the local lead conferences. They're throughout the country, so and if you are signed on or subscribed to the SOAR newsletters, they tell you when these leadership conferences are. I'm more than willing to share the load if anyone wants to be a local lead, so that's an open invitation. If not, I'll just keep doing what I'm doing. So that's out there. All right, so does anyone else have any comments? I know we kind of skipped over the general discussion with SSA and our OTDA reps. So, I mean, if anyone has any questions for them or have any cases you have questions about or situations that are unclear about this process, right now is your opportunity. All right, so I think we can adjourn. If everyone's all good with that. Great. Okay, well, thanks for attending. Our next meeting will be in 2 months, so June 20th will be our next meeting. Right? All right, and thanks, Christine, for coming.
Yeah, thanks for having me, and I'll see you guys tomorrow.
Yeah, see you tomorrow.
All right, bye.